The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in strong opposition to this pretend, fake, disingenuous, cruel to the troops resolution. It is impossible, despite what the Democrats have claimed, to both support the troops and not support increase in troops necessary to win the war. With this non-binding, fake, pretend resolution, Democrats maintain they support the troops, but at the same time disapprove of their mission. This confusing message simply lends encouragement to the Iraqi insurgents and terrorists to believe that every roadside bomb brings them closer to their goal of a terrorist state in the heart of the Mideast. The simple fact is the deployment of troops to secure Baghdad has already begun. In fact, soldiers of the 82nd Airborne Division who were deployed after President Bush's call for a temporary increase in troops are already in Iraq doing critical work with the Iraqi security forces. The passage of this misguided pretend resolution does nothing except demoralize these brave men and women in uniform and invigorate those who wish America great harm. The consequences of failure in Iraq could not be greater. The outcome in Iraq will directly affect America's efforts in the global war on terrorism for many generations. A victory for the Islamic militants, such as the al-Qaeda members who are embedded in the Anbar province of Iraq and the Iranians in Iraq who are provoking sectarian violence, would embolden the enemy to expand the reach of their efforts. Retreat would result in instability in the region, encourage radical Islamic terrorists and rogue regimes to expand in the region, and give terrorists a sanctuary from which to launch attacks against the U.S. and the West. The bipartisan Iraqi study group, a bipartisan group, recognized the need of a troop surge to secure Iraq. To this end, I ask unanimous consent to submit page 27 through 29 and page 73 of the Iraqi Study Group report for the record on this issue, and to highlight the grave humanitarian consequences of a withdrawal in the U.S. forces from Iraq. I am tired of hearing Democrats constantly criticize our plans for Iraq, yet they do not have a plan of their own. It is a shame that they have chosen to play politics with the men and women in uniform in Iraq. Democrats now have the responsibility to govern, but they lack both a plan for success in Iraq and the political will to advance a bill that cuts off funds for our troops. They say that the problems in Iraq can only be solved by a political solution. While this is true to some extent, you cannot solve the problems in Iraq diplomatically and politically without first providing security to the Iraqi people. Security must go hand in hand with the political solution. Democrats need to understand that their political choices and rhetoric hurt our troops and morale and give comfort, great comfort, to our enemy. We all agree that this is a time for Iraqis to step forward and end sectarian violence and build a responsible government. Iraqi Prime Minister Maliki has promised the American people that in this new campaign, Iraqi troops will be the ones knocking down doors, arresting insurgents, and patrolling the streets, with U.S. troops in a supporting role. We cannot give up at a critical point in Iraq's fledgling democracy. Failure in Iraq is not an option. If we do not win in Iraq, we leave it up to our future generations to tackle the problems of the Islamic terrorism in an unstable region. There is no short-term solution in Iraq because there is not a short-term problem. Today, our brave men and women in Iraq are rising to the challenge to secure Baghdad, and I encourage my colleagues—
Gentleman's time has expired.
To vote no on this ill-timed resolution.
The gentleman from Florida.
Thank you, Mr.